Hello and welcome to the Full FX Unfiltered. Edition is in association with 360T. My name is Colin Lambert. I'm co-founder and publisher of the Full FX, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Wafa M'Barak, who is product manager for technology at 360T. Wafa, it's lovely to see you.
Thanks for having me, Colin.
I thought it's interesting. I'm glad you've come in because we're kind of getting to talk about a lesser known side of the 360T business. Obviously, we know the platforms and we've been speaking to people for years about that. But as a technology provider, I thought it'd be good to get your insight in what you guys are doing there and maybe how the business has developed. So what are you offering on the technology product side to your clients?
Yeah, that's a good question, Colin. And you are right. 360T is known primarily as an FX marketplace that connects the buy side and the sell side, and we address their unique business needs. Now, what is less known is that 360T does have a technology offering. It's actually been developed over the past 10 years. Initially started as a toolbox for the market makers to help them publish their prices to 360T clients, but then it evolved into more comprehensive product suite. So it includes, I would say, two main aspects. So there is, the first one is the trading side. So we give the trading desk access to low latency liquidity, a pricing engine that can aggregate that liquidity, and all the tools to manage the risk around that. So depending on the bank appetite, they might want to back-to-back all the flow or internalize the position and kind of have automated rules to manage that risk. And then the second aspect of it is the sales side and the price distribution. So having the tools to service your client wherever they are. So no matter what the client type is or which channel they're coming on, whether it's a GUI, an API, 360T, another multi-dealer platform, you have kind of the central place where you can manage your client spreads, have an automated pre-trade credit check, and really manage all the client activity around that.
So it's an agnostic solution in terms of what the client's connecting to.
Exactly, yeah.
Now it strikes me this is mainly going to be used by banks. Is that fair?
That's correct. So our main target is really the regional and the super regional banks. Yeah. Typically the larger banks or the tier one banks would build their own technology. So the regional banks typically would look for a solution to buy, and they're looking for something as flexible, reliable, and someone that can pivot to their own unique needs and the local requirements around the different regions.
Okay, and I guess you saw that opportunity as a firm, and that's why it's developed?
Yeah, so I mean, actually, to give you the full context, I might need to go back 20 years ago. So.
Right. I'm very old. I can go back 20 years with you easily.
So, I mean, historically, 360T was really designed for the taker side. So, the main client base was corporate clients, and we worked with the makers really to serve the need of the takers. And then the makers and basically the banks became also our customers and wanted to use 360T to access liquidity for their own hedging needs. So that was the starting point, really. But where it really became, I guess, a full product suite is when we partnered with some strategic regional banks, where we listened to their needs, worked alongside their requirements, and we really committed to a roadmap. Yeah. So that's when the product evolved into this kind of more comprehensive end-to-end suite. Yeah.
And you mentioned partnerships. I assume this is actually a key part of how the process works. If you're actually going to partner with it or you're going to work with a bank, I assume that's the approach you're taking.
That's definitely it. So we're looking for clients that have similar needs because so we have 3 release cycles a year where we continually invest in the product. So when we committed to a roadmap, having similar clients that kind of had the same vision for the product was key, because that's how we amplified the effect of kind of all the new features we put in, and having everyone benefit from that. So having kind of strategic partner that had the same vision of where the product needed to go was very essential in this. Yeah.
So I'm fascinated to know. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of development work with a variety of banks, a number of banks. Were there any sort of pain points or gaps that you suddenly, I guess, realised were there, or you just came across?
Yeah. So the main gaps I would say that that have come up through these partnership are kind of having a multi-asset solution. So obviously 360T is known for primarily for FX, but we've also offer precious metal, and recently also added in base metals, so commodities like energy and also cryptos. So having kind of a solution that will be scalable in the long term, that can grow with the bank business, so they don't have to switch vendor, because it's a partnership for the long term. So that's kind of one of the main gaps that we saw. Second one is probably kind of the time to market. So obviously these type of projects are very lengthy. And they can take a lot of time and resources to implement. So we offer a fully managed and hosted solution, which make the deployment process much faster for client, because we have the liquidity ready to go. We have all the clients on 360T ready to go. So it's sometimes just a matter of a few clicks to connect all the dots together and have that out-of-box solution deployed to a bank. Yeah.
Because that's something I was probably going to sort of ask, is always like, whenever we get involved in big technology products and the words bank is involved, people suddenly go into traumatic stress syndrome, if that's even a thing. I mean, how much of a lift is it for one of your super regionals or regional banks once they decide to go down that route?
Yeah, that's a good question. It is, you're right, it is a big lift for the banks to get into such project, whether to replace an existing infrastructure or to just put one from scratch. And there are a lot of aspects to consider. There's usually different groups you're speaking to within the bank. So there is the trading team, and even there, like you have the spot trader and the swap trader that might have their own unique needs. And then the sales side, treasury management side, then you also have risk control that's watching over everything. The operations guys, I want to make sure they have all the tools to monitor this day to day. So there are a lot of different needs. And that's why like having that kind of track record of delivering this type of solution helps to understand those needs and make this the project easier and smoother.
I mean, and I guess one other nuance that you come across is the fact that the demands of a spot desk, NDF swaps, and even options are very different.
That's right, and so having to understand those different needs and the different maybe regulatory requirement that comes out of it, the different tools they need to do that, then build on top of it is quite key.
I guess to close out, Wafa, I mean, technology provision, especially to banks, is quite a competitive business. What do you think are going to be your key differentiators? Is it that track record? Is it the breadth of technology? I mean, what is it that you think that really is making people attracted to the technology offering?
Yeah. So obviously that partnership and the track record is important. We're also backed by the trust of the Deutsche Börse Group, so that kind of provides a safe and reliable environment to our client. But I would say one of our key differentiator is really that we are at the upfront of the regulatory changes. So banks have obviously facing more and more challenges keeping up to date with all the regulatory requirement, and we're really being proactive about that. So we're not waiting for the banks to drive the products. We are responding to those changes as they come, and even like with more recently with DORA, so that's the Digital Operational Resiliency Act that will come in January 2025. We are kind of already responding to that.
So effectively, I mean, obviously, probably one of the biggest complaints I get from any market participant is the regulatory burden. Effectively, what you're saying is you can take that off to a large degree.
Exactly, because we are already being proactive about it. We are obviously MTF and SEF compliance, but we are responding to the changes as they come.
Yeah, and I guess also, I mean, if you think about it, the regulatory side and the technology side, the regulatory side is very much happening around the non-spot side. And the non-spot side of our industry is probably where the next surge in electronification is going to come. So I guess it's a question of marrying those two things together.
You're absolutely right, yes.
I always like to end when someone says I'm right. Wafa, it's been great talking to you today. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And thanks everyone for watching, and we'll be back again very soon. Thanks a lot.